There were moments when you stood at the door in your life and wondered, why is this not opening? You waited, you tried, you prayed, you kept moving even when you had no clear answer. And perhaps you thought the delay meant you had been forgotten. But what if the delay was teaching you something? What if the closed door was not the end of your story, but a protection from entering something before you were ready? Don't open the door just because you are tired of waiting. Don't open it because loneliness is making you desperate. Don't open it because someone suddenly returns and makes you question everything you already learned. Sometimes the greatest mistake is not walking away from an opportunity. Sometimes it is opening the wrong door simply because you cannot tolerate the silence behind the right one. Chosen one, listen carefully. They underestimated you. They saw your silence and called it weakness. They saw your patience and thought you were afraid. They saw your kindness and assumed you could be manipulated. They saw you step back and believed you had been defeated. But they did not understand what was happening inside you. You were learning. You were observing. You were becoming harder to deceive because life had taught you to look beyond appearances. Your silence was not weakness. Your silence was the space where wisdom was being formed. You did not need to announce every thought. You did not need to explain every decision. You did not need to tell everyone where you were going or what you were becoming. Some chapters of your life had to remain quiet because your transformation was not meant to be performed for an audience. There is a strength that does not shout. There is courage that does not need applause. And there is wisdom in knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. Maybe that is why certain doors stayed closed. Not every closed door was punishment. Not every delay was rejection. Not every loss meant you had failed. Sometimes one God allows time to separate you from what you thought you needed so you can recognize what you truly need. You may not understand the timing while you are living through it. You may only understand it later when you look back and realize that what once broke your heart also redirected your life. You were not forgotten. You were being prepared through patience. And preparation is often uncomfortable because it requires you to become someone who can carry what you are asking for. You want a new chapter, but the new chapter requires a new version of you, more disciplined, more patient, more discerning, less desperate for approval, less willing to sacrifice your peace just to keep someone else comfortable, and more connected to one God. There is another truth you must understand. Truth reveals itself. You do not have to chase every rumor. You do not have to expose every person. You do not have to spend your life proving that you were right. Let time speak. Let character speak. Let action speak. Let consequences speak. Justice does not require revenge. You do not have to destroy anyone to prove that they hurt you. You do not have to become cruel because someone treated you cruelly. You do not have to abandon your values because others abandoned theirs. Your strength is not in becoming like the people who wounded you. Your strength is in refusing to let their behavior decide who you become. And perhaps the door you are being warned not to open is not a physical door at all. Perhaps it is the door to old habits, the door to bitterness, the door to desperate attachment, the door to constant comparison, the door to seeking approval from people who never recognized your worth, the door to returning to places where your soul learned the hardest lessons. Don't open that door simply because it feels familiar. You have already learned what is behind it. Your awakening begins when you stop confusing familiarity with destiny. Chosen one being chosen does not mean being better than everyone else. It means accepting greater responsibility for the person you are becoming. It means recognizing that your pain can either make you bitter or make you wiser. Your rejection can either destroy your confidence or teach you where your confidence should come from. Your loneliness can either convince you that you are abandoned or give you space to hear what noise once drowned out. You are being called toward responsibility, toward character, toward patience, toward moral strength, toward a deeper relationship with one God. So when another door appears, do not rush, pause. Look carefully. Ask yourself what is behind it. Ask whether it brings peace or merely temporary excitement. Ask whether it strengthens your character or weakens it. Ask whether you are entering from wisdom or from desperation. Because not every open door deserves your footsteps, and not every closed door deserves your tears. Your delay was not your ending. Your delay may have been part of your becoming. There will come a moment when you understand why you had to wait, why certain relationships ended, why certain opportunities disappeared, why some plans failed despite your effort, why you had to walk alone for a season. And when that understanding comes, you may realize that you were not losing everything. You were losing what could not follow you into the next chapter. They underestimated you. Let them. You do not need to convince them. You do not need to announce your transformation. You do not need to make your future courtroom where everyone who doubted you must be proven wrong. Your greatest victory will be quieter than revenge. It will be becoming peaceful without becoming passive, strong without becoming cruel, humble without becoming weak, confident without becoming arrogant, patient without becoming stagnant, and faithful to one God without needing everyone else to understand your journey. Remember this when the old door calls your name. Don't open it. Not every invitation is destiny. Not every return is restoration. Not every opportunity is meant for you. Sometimes the most powerful decision you can make is to stand still, breathe, and say no. I have learned enough from that chapter, because something is coming, not necessarily in the form you expect, not necessarily according to the timeline you imagined, but the journey is still unfolding. Your responsibility is not to predict every step. Your responsibility is to be ready. Keep your heart clean. Keep your mind disciplined. Keep your intentions honest. Keep walking. Keep praying. Keep trusting the wisdom of one God. And when the right moment arrives, you will not have to force the door. You will recognize it because you will enter it with wisdom instead of desperation. Chosen one, they underestimated you, but you are no longer living to be understood by everyone. You are living to become who you were meant to become. Your silence was not weakness. You were not forgotten. Your delay was not your ending. Truth reveals itself. Justice does not require revenge. And your legacy is being built, not through the people who rejected you, but through the character you built when nobody was watching. So don't open the door just because you hear something knocking. Wait, discern, pray, trust. Because sometimes patience is not standing outside your destiny. Sometimes patience is what keeps you from walking into the wrong one. And when the right door finally opens, you will understand why one God taught you to wait. Chosen one, there is something you must understand about this season of your life. The hardest part is not always what you lost. Sometimes the hardest part is resisting the temptation to go back, you remember what it felt like. You remember the people. You remember the conversations that never received an honest ending. You remember the opportunities that disappeared without explanation. You remember standing there wondering why something you wanted so badly could be taken away so suddenly. And now, after everything you have survived, there may be moments when the past seems attractive again. That is the danger, because when you become tired, even an old prison can begin to look like shelter. Don't open the door simply because you recognize the voice knocking from the other side. You have changed. The person who entered that chapter is not the same person standing here today. You have seen things you cannot unsee. You have learned lessons you cannot unlearn. You have experienced disappointment that forced you to examine your own heart. You have discovered that not everyone who smiles at you is committed to your well-being, and not everyone who walks away is your enemy. Some people were lessons, some situations were warnings, some endings were necessary, and some delays protected you from making decisions with an immature heart. Chosen one, your greatest battle now may not be against another person. It may be against the version of yourself that still wants to return to what was familiar. That version of you wants answers. It wants closure. It wants recognition. It wants someone from the past to finally say, I was wrong about you. But listen carefully. You may never receive that apology. You may never receive the explanation you wanted. You may never see the people who hurt you fully understand what they did, and you must become strong enough to continue anyway. Your healing cannot depend on someone else's realization. Your peace cannot depend on someone else's apology. Your destiny cannot depend on someone else's approval. This is where spiritual awakening becomes real. It is easy to talk about purpose when everything is going your way. It is much harder to maintain faith when nothing makes sense. But perhaps that is exactly where your deepest transformation begins. When you stop asking, why did this happen to me? And begin asking, what is this teaching me? That question changes everything, because pain can become wisdom when you refuse to waste it. Rejection can become direction when you refuse to let it define you. Loneliness can become preparation when you use the quiet to rebuild your character. And uncertainty can become trust when you realize that you do not need to know every detail of tomorrow to take the right step today. Yeah? God knows what you cannot see. That does not mean every difficulty will disappear. It means you do not have to carry the illusion that you must control everything. You can act wisely. You can work hard. You can protect your boundaries. You can make careful decisions and still accept that some outcomes are beyond your control. That acceptance is not weakness. It is maturity. There is a point in your journey where you stop forcing things. You stop chasing people. You stop begging for opportunities. You stop explaining your worth. You stop knocking on doors that repeatedly tell you they are not meant for you. And something changes inside you. You become still, not empty. Still. You begin to understand that desperation makes every door look important. Wisdom teaches you that some doors should remain closed. Chosen one, perhaps this is the lesson of the door. You are not being asked to fear everything. You are being asked to discern. There is a difference. Fear says, run from everything. Wisdom says, look carefully before you enter. Fear keeps you trapped. Wisdom keeps you awake. And awakening means you no longer live automatically. You examine your choices. You examine your motives. You examine the people you allow close to you. You examine the habits you repeat. You examine the thoughts you entertain. You begin asking whether your decisions are taking you closer to the person you are supposed to become or pulling you backward. That is maturity. That is strength. That is responsibility. And there will be moments when people misunderstand this new version of you. They may say you have changed. They may wonder why you are quieter, why you no longer react the way you used to, why you no longer argue over every accusation, why you no longer chase every opportunity. Let them wonder. You do not owe everyone access to your inner world. Your silence was not weakness, it was discernment. You learned that reacting to everything gives everything power over you. So now you choose your battles, you protect your peace, you speak when speaking matters, and you walk away when walking away is wiser. That is not defeat, that is control. But do not confuse control with pride. The awakened person does not say, I am better than everyone. The awakened person says, I still have more to learn. That humility will protect you. Because the moment you believe you have nothing left to learn, you become vulnerable to your own ego. Stay teachable, stay humble, stay close to one God. And remember that justice does not always arrive in the dramatic form you imagined. Sometimes justice is simply the truth becoming impossible to ignore. Sometimes justice is the consequence of repeated choices. Sometimes justice is you finally becoming free from the person who once controlled your emotions. Sometimes justice is peace, and peace is powerful. You do not need revenge, you need release. Release the need to be understood by people committed to misunderstanding you. Release the need to prove that you were right. Releases the need to return. Just because someone finally noticed your absence, you have spent too much time becoming stronger to return to the place that required you to become smaller. Don't open the door. Not yet. Not because you are afraid, because you are wiser now. Wait until your heart is calm enough to recognize what your emotions cannot wait, until you can distinguish opportunity from temptation. Wait until you can enter without abandoning yourself. Because your future deserves a version of you that is awake, a version of you that does not make permanent decisions because of temporary emotions. A version of you that can say no without guilt. A version of you that can say yes without desperation. A version of you that trusts divine timing without becoming passive. Chosen one, something is being built inside you that cannot be rushed. Patience is building endurance. Silence is building discernment. Difficulty is building resilience. Loneliness is teaching self-respect. And every moment when you chose integrity over revenge was building your character. Your legacy is being built, not tomorrow, today. Every decision matters. Every boundary matters. Every quiet act of discipline matters. Every time you choose wisdom over impulse, you are becoming someone your future self will thank you for becoming. So when you hear the knock again, remember everything you survived to reach this point. Do not let one moment of loneliness erase years of growth. Do not let one emotional night reopen a chapter that took years to close. Do not let nostalgia convince you that the past was better simply because the future is unknown. The future is unknown. That is exactly why you must walk toward it with faith, wisdom, courage, and courage. You were not forgotten. You were being shaped. Your delay was not your ending. Your silence was not weakness. Truth reveals itself. Justice does not require revenge. And when the right moment comes, you will not need to force destiny. You will recognize what belongs in your life by the wisdom it produces within you. So stand at the door, listen, discern, pray. And if the answer is still unclear, wait. Because sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is refuse to open a door until you know who you are on the other side of it. Your destiny is not running away from you. Your journey is not over. And the person you are becoming is worth every season that taught you how to wait. Chosen one. This is where you stop looking backward. You have spent enough time wondering why certain doors closed. You have spent enough nights replaying conversations, questioning decisions, and asking why people treated you the way they did. You have carried questions that never received answers. You have waited for explanations that may never come. But you are still here, and that matters. You survived the season that was supposed to break your confidence. You walked through moments that tested your patience. You endured rejection without allowing it to completely destroy your hope. You experienced betrayal without becoming the person who betrayed you. That is evidence of growth. Your silence was not weakness. Your patience was not foolishness. Your delay was not your ending. You were learning how to stand without applause. You were learning how to walk without everyone understanding your direction. You were learning that your worth does not rise and fall according to the opinions of other people. And now, chosen one, you must protect what you have learned. Do not reopen doors simply because the past suddenly looks familiar. Do not return to places that required you to abandon your peace. Do not chase people who only value you when you are leaving. Do not trade your future for temporary comfort. You have already paid enough for lessons you never wanted to learn. Now, let those lessons become wisdom. There is something powerful about reaching the point where you no longer need revenge. You simply move forward. You stop watching who succeeds. You stop waiting for who fails. You stop wondering whether someone finally understands your value. You stop measuring your life against someone else's timeline. You leave justice where it belongs. Justice does not require revenge. Truth reveals itself. You do not have to force it. You do not have to manipulate circumstances. You do not have to become bitter. Keep your hands clean. Keep your heart humble. Keep your mind disciplined. Stay close to one God, because the greatest victory may not be what happens around you. It may be what happens within you. The person who once begged for acceptance now knows how to walk away. The person who once feared being alone now understands the value of solitude. The person who once reacted instantly now pauses. The person who once needed everyone to understand now understands themselves. That is awakening. And awakening does not mean you suddenly know everything. It means you finally realize that wisdom is more valuable than impulse. Chosen one, remember this when another door appears. You do not have to open every door. You do not have to accept every invitation. You do not have to explain every decision. Sometimes no is protection. Sometimes waiting is wisdom. Sometimes walking away is courage. And sometimes the greatest act of faith is trusting one God enough to wait without knowing exactly what comes next. You were not forgotten. You were being prepared. Your delay was not your ending. It was part of your journey. The chapter that hurt you does not get to write the ending. The people who misunderstood you do not get to define your identity. The failures you experienced do not get to determine your future. And the doors that closed do not have the authority to tell you that your journey is over. Your legacy is being built quietly through every disciplined choice. Through every moment, you choose patience instead of anger. Through every moment, you choose integrity instead of revenge. Through every moment, you choose faith instead of despair. Through every moment, you choose wisdom instead of impulse. This is how a life becomes meaningful, not through proving everyone wrong, but through becoming someone who no longer needs to. So if the door is still closed, breathe. If the answer has not arrived, wait. If the path is unclear, keep walking with wisdom. If people misunderstand you, remain grounded. And if something from the past comes knocking again, remember what it cost you to become free. Don't open the door simply because you are lonely. Don't open it because you are curious. Don't open it because you want closure. Open only what deserves your future. Chosen one, your journey was never about becoming superior to anyone. It was about becoming responsible for the person you were given the opportunity to become. Your purpose requires character. Your destiny requires patience. Your future requires discipline. And your soul requires wisdom. So walk forward, not with arrogance, with humility, not with fear, with discernment, not with revenge, with peace. Let the past remain where it belongs. Let truth reveal itself in its own time. Let justice unfold without poisoning your heart. Let one God guide your steps through what you cannot yet understand. Because one day, you may look back at the door you refused to open and realize that your greatest act of courage was not entering. It was waiting. And when the right door finally appears, you will not need to force it. You will not need to beg. You will not need to chase. You will stand before it with a wiser heart, a stronger mind, and a deeper understanding of divine timing. Chosen one, keep walking, keep waiting, keep becoming. The road may be longer than you expected, but your story is still being written. And remember this forever. Your destiny is not destroyed by delay. Your purpose is not canceled by rejection. Your future is not defined by your past. When you walk with patience, wisdom, courage, and one God, even the closed doors become part of the journey that leads you exactly where you are meant to go.